All right, welcome everyone. We're back for our second podcast, the Southside Gaming Experience. I have with me today Kylie, my co-host. I
What's
also
up,
have
everyone?
Hector. All right, welcome everyone. We're back. Sorry, I'm getting some feedback. There we go. I've got Hector, our Lorcana team captain. All right, welcome everyone.
Hello,
We're
everyone.
back for our second podcast. Sorry, I'm still getting feedback. Here we go. All right. And then last but not least, we have Devin, the owner of Southside Gaming.
What's up, guys?
Awesome. Thanks for joining me, everyone. I had already posted on Twitter/X a little bit of what we'll be talking about today. So I'll do a quick rundown before we jump into our segments. The first topic we'll be discussing is a couple of the top performing decks from over the weekend. I have a couple of lists that I want to review with the team here, get some feedback, especially since this is the first weekend without Hiram and Fortisphere. And I mean, if you have been keeping up with it, you already know the impact. The meta seems to have widened a bit. I almost feel like we are in like a second, a mid-release meta, if that makes sense, right? Like, because we've never had a ban like this before. The last thing we've had was the Bucky errata, which made some pretty significant changes during that meta as well. So definitely looking forward to talking about that. Then after that, we will roll into a topic with Kylie, who will be introducing one of our new initiatives with Southside Gaming's tournament circuit. And so we'll be going over some of those details as well as what to look forward to for future events regarding that. After that, we'll jump in with Devin, who will touch base with us and share what it's like to be a team owner for not only the Southside Gaming Lorcana team, but other teams that we have too for One Piece and Yu-Gi-Oh! So we're really looking forward to hearing how those dynamics work across the games. And then lastly, I will be sharing some insights on how we were able to build up a Lorcana community locally and online, and how you can do the same for your area too. Great. So we'll roll into the first segment. Hector, since you are kind of the resident Ruby Sapphire player, I kind of wanted to get some of your insights on the winning list from the Battle Bear event over in Germany, won by none other than DKP. So maybe why don't you give us some insight on the list? What are your thoughts without Hiram here? Do you think all is found is a lie? What are your thoughts here?
All right. Well, I'm going to, I guess, give my opinion. I haven't tested much yet, so take it with a grain of salt. But the list is solid. I like the idea of the Sisu, the all is on. I haven't really tested it. Hold on, because seem to be having some mic issue. Testing. All right. Yes. Better.
Still sounding a little choppy right now.
Testing. I don't know what twice. Testing. Still
better. Sounding a little bit better, yeah.
Mine's twice. I don't know why.
All right. Well, what I'll do right now in the meantime, Hector, if you want to try to mute, we'll just do a quick segue over to Kylie while we work on some of those audio issues behind the scenes. So, Kylie, let us know a little bit about the Southside circuit that you've been cooking behind the scenes on, in respect to a couple of the events that we have going on right now.
All right, so y'all know Devin, and he doesn't do anything small. He does everything big. So he's been trying to come up with something that is fun for everyone. They create a highly competitive environment. He had an idea for like a championship kind of at the end, and we were trying to find kind of like the rhythm to it and how we would get there. So we came up with the Southside circuit. It's going to be for every game, right? But we're going to start with Lorcana. And the Merlin 10K will be the 7th event in the series. So we're going to backtrack a little bit, and Stefan can let you know every event we've had so far that'll kind of count towards the circuit. The final event, the 8th event, will be the Return of Jafar event. And the top 8 players from all those events are going to get an invite to the circuit event. So it's going to be 64 players, best of the best, the guys that topped at our store, all playing it out for the Southside Circuit Championship. The prizing and all that, the details for that, we'll announce that later. But for anybody that's tuning in that's played at one of our events, you may have already qualified if you top 8'd one of them. And going forward, we're going to streamline the events a little bit. We're going to have 8 events kind of a year for Lorcana. We're going to do the release event every release the day after. So that's Saturday. We'll have our release event. It'll be a case event. It'll have play mats for the top 4. Cute giveaways. We'll do the bounties that we do and raffles. And then in between sets, we'll have the cash event, scaling. That's going to also have the special play mats for top 4. And we'll do kind of like the art cards for top 8, kind of like how we have been doing. And those events will all be themed, but it's going to be really fun for people kind of in between DLCs and set champs, and just something that a lot of people will be able to look forward to. And, like I said, Devin's coming up with what the winners and the top 8 players are going to get at the championship for the circuit. And I mean, you guys know Devin, whatever it is, it's going to be worth it. I don't know, Devin, any ideas yet? What do you think you're going to do? Or,
well, no, please don't put them on the spot. Don't.
First and foremost, all right, just first of all, how's my mic? Because this is the first time I spoke since we've been live.
You sound great, Devin.
Oh, I love it. So first and foremost, let's give a little bit more excitement to. So what we're officially, unofficially, however you want to call it, we are going to start hosting circuits, right? We are now tapping into that space. We are going to branch off and start hosting these major events. And I say unofficial because this is the first time that we're publicly coming out to speak about it. So stay tuned. We're going to do an official announcements when more details arise, and we would like to have our Justin, our event coordinator, as well. He'll come on and he'll speak a little bit more about it. But we wanted to give you guys the opportunity to hear it first, where we're going to give you a little insight as to stuff that we do have planned. All right. We have major things in the works, right? We're evolving, and we're excited to share some of the little tidbits with you guys, and that's part of it. So stay tuned for more details on our on pricing, on the structure. But bottom line, we're now going to be hosting circuits. All right, and we'll have an official announcement shortly, but y'all got to stay tuned for it.
Awesome. Thanks, Evan. Great. So while I think we're still working on things with Hector right now, so I'll actually get some insight from you, Kylie, and you, Devin. Actually, you've been an enjoyer of one of these performing deck lists. Let me see if I have the details on what event it was. Let's see. It was a 1K at the House of Cards in Winston-Salem. Let me just pull the list up really quick so we can review it. All right. So we'll start off with you, Kylie. What are your thoughts here on is Ruby Amethyst back? With the Evasives, we see a shark here. What's going on?
I think every deck is back now that Hiram's gone, to be honest. I think everything's back in play. I think that people saw Diablo was like an instant pickup. And I think everybody instantly was like, all right, back to what beats Diablo, right? And so here, you see the Pegasus obviously in there just to, you play Diablo, they play the Pegasus. You're not turning your Diablo sideways. Peter Pan, Iago now becoming another issue with the Peter Pan. And then Maui and Brawl. I mean, literally, like as a Diablo player, like this is like this deck is like one of my worst nightmares. Like I see all these cards and I'm just like, yeah, dude, I'm not playing Diablo. Like,
Just when you thought your green steel was coming back,
yeah, bro. Now
little Peter Pan comes and ruins your dreams. And first and foremost, I know some of you guys may say otherwise, but shout out to my boy Kyle, man. My boy Kyle. For those of you guys that know, over at Southside Gaming, one of our locals, he's been on this Peter Pan Iago for weeks now. All right, weeks. Okay.
Yeah, he has. I can testify that he's been coming up to me like, Kylie, I don't understand how on 3 Peter Pan and on 4 Iago is bad. Like, how's it bad? So I guess now it's not. I guess it never was, but I guess now it's more relevant. But I think that, I think the meta is healthier now. I think that you're going to see a lot of different decks kind of come out of the woodworks. I think people are going to be able to play what they want to play, what they like to play in their actual play styles. And I think the decks are just going to have to be geared towards like the meta you think you're going to fight. So like Jackson Tran here obviously thought he was playing into Diablo at some point. He was going to fight Diablo, whether it was green purple or green steel or green blue. But yeah, Hector, I don't know. What do you think about this? Would you play this list or?
Can you guys just testing?
Wow, you sound great, bro.
Yeah, we hear you, Bubba.
Okay.
You sound beautiful.
You sound good, bro.
Yeah, a little raspy voice. Haven't slept much. You know how it is, the parent life. Left locals yesterday pretty late, the drive, and then woke up super early. But talking about the meta is kind of nice. I mean, I played red blue for a long time, and with Flaversham gone, the deck took a big hit. Right, so now I think somebody posted like some graphic that showed a lot of the different decks that people were playing over the weekend, and it seemed healthy. There was a lot of decks there, that people haven't tried in a long time. I was testing green yellow yesterday, so I thought that was a cool deck. The one thing I will say is that blue steel kind of is like non-existent. I didn't see it much, but this red purple list looks pretty cool. I think we just got to refine it a little more and find the correct ratios when the meta settles a little bit. And I think it's definitely a contender, right? Like now you don't have these Flavershams just saving you out of scenarios and stuff. So the deck definitely has a chance now. And if the meta is mostly like green steel, it definitely has it could definitely overpower it. I like the Peter Pan into Maui Shark. Maui Shark has been a 4-0 for me since the card came out. So this deck is definitely playable. Maybe I'll try it out. I haven't been able to test much this format yet since we got the ban list last week. But it's definitely something I'm looking at trying out. Let's see. Yeah, maybe like some of the ratios maybe you could play around with to make it a little more consistent. Because I see it has 4, 5, and 9, 12. Oh, this one has 12 on Inkables. It's not too bad.
Yeah, this one was really neat. I will say that I did watch some of the coverage of the Battle Bear event. With I think actually Ultimate Guard. I think with Battle Bear, if I recall, when I was reviewing ink decks, it mentioned the correlation between the two. But one of the red purple list in top 4 had the evasive package, but was also running the Lumiere that buffs each of your characters in play by 1 strength, which always makes combat math interesting as well too. So like I I don't want to call it exactly what Ray was calling it, but the Pegasus. Once you have the Peter Pan online, a Pegasus with a Lumiere can definitely one shot an exerted genie, for example. So that kind of combat or that kind of trade seems fairly efficient. The Iago is definitely a huge beater there as well too. So definitely pretty interesting to see red purple back and just always. I will say red purple seems to be one of the most adaptive decks throughout every single set of Disney Lorcana up until this point.
I want to add a comment to that. Somebody is in the chat is saying that that you can't guarantee the triple 1-drops, and that the 2 ink slot is kind of weak due to the just playing Pegasus. I was talking to my our teammate last night, Ray, and I think that you could even, since the meta kind of like slowed down a bit, and red blue is not as crazy anymore, like where Flavisham gets like full control. I would even like cut down a little bit on the 1-drops to make space for a little bit more of the mid-rangey cards to counter like some of these other decks, right? Like the green purple, the aggros and stuff. So I think if I were to try it, I will cut down some of the 1-drops just to make space for some of the bigger bombs. Like I'm a big fan of Medusa still. Maybe try Tremaine, like one of the old school days where you were playing 3 Medusa, 2 Tremaine. I love that format. The deck was just insane, right? So if you don't need it, if red blue is not as rampant, maybe you don't need the triple 1-drops, right? Like if the meta is more likely down here where you're playing a lot of amber steel, a lot of green steel, and some of these 1-drops just end up getting stormed or banished like early. I might as I'd rather have like something towards the mid-rangey decks, right? Since there's a lot more decks in the meta now that people are testing. A good example, a friend of ours, he was playing Blurple and he was destroying me, right? Like, so you need to have some answers more to like towards the mid-game counters. So I would make the deck a little more mid-rangey. So that's my take on this at least. So at 10 1-drops, maybe I'll cut 2 or 3 to make more space for some of like the more mid-range bombs. Or maybe with Maui Shark, you could even, add a couple more actions that could affect the game. Like, oh, I just noticed this list is not playing Pirate's Life. I think I will play Pirate Life in this list. I think it tests really well. Shark Pirate Life and is just insane against any matchup, I think. Right. And then you have your free rusher. So I think I would fit Pirate Life in here as well.
If you cut some 1-drops, do you also cut back on the library? Or you still value the library, or would you go back to Castle?
No, definitely not Castle. I mean, library just to 8 health is still good, and then you can still put your characters in there. I mean, I guess you'll have to test it, maybe go down to 2, but 3 is fine. And even if you don't have your all your 1-drops, you can still put everything else in there and trade efficiently to get cards with Peter Pan Shadow and the rushes. So I don't see it being bad anyways, but I do like Pirate Life just to keep you in the game.
And just out of curiosity, because I'm seeing a lot of these purple lists, they're starting to run Finders Keepers. A lot of them are. I know. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's well positioned, right? Because if everybody, like you said, it's the beginning of like a new format, like somebody mentioned in the chat, 7.5, right? Everybody's gravitating towards Diablo, so you need something to keep the deck alive, right? This happened at one of the DLCs. I think it was DLC Seattle, where people were right after Vegas, where green steel was rampant, and a lot of people started playing red purple with Finders Keepers just to counter that. So I see that. That's why they're doing that here. Once you have once you have like control of the board, right? Let's say you get favorable trades with Peter Pan and Yago or Elsa or Maui, and then you're in a turn where you need more resources. You just fit it in when they don't have so much pressure, and just
Yeah.
those 3 cards make such a big difference. Like I played against Ray yesterday, one of the games where he just finders keepers into friends, and it was just like, wow, he
Right,
drew
right.
6 cards that turn while letting me deal with his board, and it was just insane.
Yeah, and I even see here, if you take a look at what Georgie had to say about, key point is Ursula doesn't take it, right? So, which is
Yeah, that's true. Ursula definitely doesn't take it. Only thing that I don't like is that it costs 5, right? But then again, at worst, if you're kind of falling behind, you could even, you Maui Shark and then you get it back since it's an action and you draw 3, right? So basically your Maui Shark just steamrolls the game for you, right?
yeah.
That one, like I said, I just like Pirate Life too much not to play it in any deck. It just could close out the game for you.
Yeah, I would love to have a card similar to that in Steel Song, but
Oh yeah, I bet you would. A free 2 lore and Steel Songs. What was that 18 that Steel Song sits
I
at
know
forever?
it's the rocket explodes right at 1819. But no, that's great. Really good insight from the 3 of you guys on this list. I personally don't play a lot of Ruby Amethyst, but I do enjoy watching a lot of the locals do very high tech play, especially in like the Amethyst mirrors. Like they're like pretty equivalent to like high level chess games almost, right? It's a good balance of figuring out when to do your board wipes, maintaining a healthy hand size for your second and third acts of the game, and just ultimately just having the outs you need to switch up the tempo a little bit, and then get to your end game. So definitely enjoy watching those.
Yeah, the deck
Um,
this deck has to like, so right now is the beginning of the format, right? Where everybody's assuming you're gonna just play into a bunch of green steel. So you see all the evasives, all the rushers, right? So now you just gotta refine it a little bit to when you go into the more mid-range control matchups, like the mirror matches and stuff like that. So maybe you cut a little bit of the evasives just to make it a little more efficient towards like the attrition battles. That's what I would do in a sense. I cut a couple of 1-drops, fit in a couple of like mid-sized bombs just to have more answers against against the mirror for this deck. Because the mirror for this deck must be insane. Right? I mean, I haven't tested it, but it's just who B preps first, who controls the board first, and sometimes you might not even turn anything sideways, right? You just sit there passing, drawing cards until you could push.
right, yeah.
I think again, also the Pirate Life would be great, just because it could close out the game, or it could like save you one turn that you need, right? You just Pirate Life to drain them so they don't win, and then you can stabilize and win the game. And again, Peter Pan and Maui Shark, you get the Pirate Life back, and that's just another burn spell, which is crazy.
Peter Pan
Right.
Maui Shark is nasty. Nasty.
Yeah.
Pirates Life is so good, bro. It just saves you from losing from games too. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, having ways to remove lore is just so powerful because there's a phase in game when it's no longer efficient to challenge or to prevent your opponent from questing, and you do ultimately what's called the race, right? You're trying to just get to the finish line, right? So you commit and you put Lorthal on board, and then you just hit with like back-to-back Pirates Life that just throws everything off. And if they're able to do efficient trades into your exerted characters, like you can just, again, the rocket explodes just right. We're almost in the stratosphere, and it just fizzles out.
Is it bad I've never heard Lorthal before? My
I
first
forgot
time
who
hearing it.
introduced it, but it seemed to be more family friendly than lethal, so I stick to it now.
Like it.
Lordful.
Like it.
Also, I'm seeing the list. I just realized it doesn't play snake. I wouldn't mind testing some snakes. See, like, so right now you only have 1 bounce, and then you have goats, right? But it doesn't feel like you could close out the game. Nothing crazy, right? It's like you're trying to attrition your opponent. So again, Pirate Life, another card. And then what makes it, I guess it wasn't on people's radar, but then the moment Shark came out, it's like, well, I could play this and get it back the same turn, and I'm gaining 3 every time. It's oppressive. It's very oppressive. There's games where you're playing against aggro and you just back to back Pirate Life, and it keeps you at bay enough for you to just win the game. And it's just too good of a card. And on top of that is inkable, so at worst you ink it. So if it was uninkable, and be a little different. But
Yeah, and you can sing it together. I mean, that's just kind of that's the kill on top. You're just like, oh, you know what? I have a crab and a fox out. Let me just sing Pirate's Life real quick.
Yeah, we ain't saying
Now we to kill your guy. Get it right back.
card's so good.
Awesome. All right. We've reviewed this list quite extensively. I think we have some great insight here. Something a little near and dear to my heart that I'd love to talk to Kylie about is actually this 5th place list during the same event. This was a Steel Song list, right? So again, we're heading back in history a little bit. We see the reintroductions of Robin Hood again, and that I feel like that's huge, right? So like when we're dealing with I guess some of the more predominant decks out there, like the discard decks and stuff like that, or aggro heavy decks, like just Robin Hood shines very well between its banish abilities, and then the Rapunzel synergies there, and then if he's traded in combat, you get to draw off of him. There's like really no downsides to him right now. And when we're looking at a current Ruby list, we're not really seeing a lot of one of the biggest threats to him, whether he's established from a shift or just a raw cast, which is Medusa. So Kylie, let me know your thoughts on this list here, and kind of is this something that we can expect to see more of, or what kind of Steel Song lists would you be experimenting with if that was the deck you were focusing on now?
I do like this list. I think that Robin Hood and Beast Tragic Hero right now can just kind of run freely, because like you said, nobody's really on Medusa, so they're just kind of chilling. And I think this list is good. I think the Ursula over the Troubadour is definitely a good pick, because Ursula just synergizes better with Rapunzel. You can swing into Smee, you can swing into Pete. A lot of 3/3 bodies that you just kind of can swing your card into and just draw 3 cards. The only thing I probably wouldn't really be on is the Ariel and the Cinderella. I think it's a lot of top end, and the format has slowed down a little bit. I feel like I probably would not play the Shift Ariel, and I would just do the Cinderella. I mean, the Cinderella, like in a steel matchup, can just kind of close the game out. Like it comes down and you need Zeus and something else, or World's Greatest or something. But Ariel, I think, is a lot of lore, or a lot of resources invested in her. You have to play a song and then pay 2 more. And I think right now, like with the removal that is in the game, I think you can pretty much one-shot everything. You don't really like you're kind of going for like a 2-for-1 there, where you're like, all right, I'm gonna play Zeus and kill something else on the side. But
Yeah, I was going to jump in and actually say I think that's kind of the benefit we have here,
Yeah.
because if we're looking at, like, let's say one of the more popular decks that's showing up more in locals now, which is the Emerald Amethyst discard deck with like 20 different copies of Diablo. Ariel can put in some work there if you think about it. So I like the ability of being able to hyper focus down a specific character, or diversifying the damage across multiple characters. And that's just ultimately reinforced here with Grab Your Swords too, which may be, with the chances of you getting a 1 of to pull it off is great. I know, finding it with the Ariel or the Rapunzel helps, but if you're establishing a Grab Your Sword against a green steel with like a bunch of Prince Johns or Diablos out and stuff like that, that kind of just closes the game. I'm going to pull in a question here from George, one of our locals. Let's see. Amethyst Emerald list he chose for top 6 of the LCCC. So, what are your thoughts? Actually, I want to actually ask this to Devin first, because he had been working on a green purple. I don't think it was specifically discard, but I think out of all of us, he probably has the closest relationship with the deck. So what are your thoughts?
Well, to begin with, I'm a big Blurple guy, and now that this meta is allowing me to play Blurple again, I can't stop playing this green purple build that I brewed up. I love it. And I haven't seen that list. If we can pull it up, maybe. But
yeah, let me work on that right now.
In my opinion, I don't care how much removal there are. That Diablo is just so good, right? And the list that I was playing 8 Diablos, big Diablo, and I was playing Ursulas, right? Both lines. I was playing the 2-drop and the 3-drop. And I threw in the Elsa package in there, and I also threw in 2 big. I believe I was playing 2 big Elsas as well, and I didn't play Prince John. And I wish I could pull this list up, but it's so good. I mean, Kyle, you can ask Kylie, you can ask. Did I play you? Did you see it all, Stefan, or no?
Not your entire list.
No, it just felt so good, right? And now what's interesting is running the Peter Pans in it, right? But I just find it so it just felt so good when you just go turn 1 into Diablo, right? And you either see their card, or even the baby Diablo, and then you just go turn 2, Ursula into Diablo. Just felt good, even if they have removal, right? And then it just felt good. I don't know. I mean, this list does look interesting, and I think it's heavily relying on the evasives, right? And then you have the Cloud Kicker there. I like this. This is interesting.
Yeah, there's a couple of things here that really like if this were an open deck list situation, and this is something I looked at before playing my opponent, a couple of the impactful cards that can really do some damage to you if you get caught off guard is Cloud Kicker, right? Bouncing your singers back, and then Cricky, which is just an absolute powerhouse in any Emerald deck he's included in. It's just it turns your Cursed Merfolk can punch up pretty well, if necessary. But it's just being able to do that, and then staying on board to be able to quest for a 3 lore on the following turn is a really well statted card with great tempo swing advantage.
Yeah, and then I even like the hiss with the Peter Pan as well.
This list, you see, so these are the type of lists I think you expect to see at the beginning of the format, because you think everybody's going to be playing Diablo, right? So he's just trying to counter the Diablo play, right? Everything you see in the deck, he has Sir Hiss, Peter Pan, the Cloud Kicker, the Yago. It's pretty much just to counter green steel, right? So what happens if you run into a lot of Steel Song, or you run into the red purple? I don't think you're better prepared. This list is more tailored to his match, right? He knows what he's gonna play against, I think, or they submit that list and he thinks he knows what he's gonna play based on what he played last round. So he puts something together to try to counter him directly, right? Now, if you're considering taking this to local set champs or a bigger event, I'm not too sure, just because I don't like deviating too much from the cores in a sense, because if you run into like I said, look, against Steel Song, I think this deck, I don't know how it would perform in a sense. So I think it won't cover the broader meta, right? The Diablo shift lines are more a more generic how do I say it, nut draw, right? Where if you got it, you could do well against every other deck, right? But then I see here, this is just against to counter that, right? So if you play any of the other decks, it feels really bad.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, Hector, is how much hate do you think needs to be put into a deck for like a card like Diablo. You know, like you saw that red purple list, and you know, like half the deck could deal with it. And you know, I've played green steel for a long time, and I mean, I can tell you how many games I don't even get it off. I don't even play it. You know, if I do get it off, it really helps put me in like a good spot. But like, at what point is a deck so geared to deal with that one card that, like you said, it's just not able to deal with other cards?
That's the problem. Where you're trying to counter like a specific strategy, right? Like, but I think right now we're in a meta where you're not going to play 6 rounds of green steel like when Bucky was around, right? When Bucky was around, you can expect to play 4 or 5 rounds in a big event of Bucky because it was so oppressive, right? But now at the beginning of the format, everybody's like, "Oh, Diablo's it," so we're going to counter it. So I think with a little bit of time before, obviously, we get the Jafar set, the lists are going to get a little more refined, and maybe they're going to start lowering the ratios a little bit to make space for more like generic stuff to answer like multiple decks at once, right? And get close to standard as possible, because you're going to start realizing that if you play these matchups that are really bad, like, you're just going to outright lose, right? Look, like Gabe said, this is kind of the thing you would see at Natural Worlds, but if you try to play the locals at 100+ person event, you're going to get clapped. I agree with that statement pretty much. If it was like a niche tournament, then yeah, but like I don't see it being good outside of that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for your insight on that one, guys. But yeah, if anybody else here has some other high performing deck lists that you'd like us to kind of take a look at, maybe I think what we'll do is we could do like a deep dive analysis throughout the week and then give our insight on the next episode. So that way it just, you know, because I mean, I feel like one of the things that I enjoy is just like the feedback loop, right? You think you give your first iteration, you're like, this is what I would change, this is what I would do, and then wait a second, if I'm changing that, then let's do that. So yeah, I think it's probably a good thing to touch base on.
Can I show you real quick, Hector? I want to show you guys the list I had because I have it right here. If you don't mind me showing it to you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. If you just share the link, I can actually pull the picture up and we can all review it together.
And
All
then I'll add to that a little bit about the red blue and what I tested.
All right, great. No, keep in mind too, I don't think this is the exact like the final that I had, but I ended up was able to find it on Dreamborn. You just pull it up.
George must be freaking super happy that red purple's back, right? I expect to see the locals.
Bro, everybody's happy, bro. I've never seen a happier locals than the day Hiram was banned. Me and
It felt rejuvenating.
everybody's like, "Oh man, we could play deck." In fact, you know what's crazy? I played red blue the first round though. I was like, "All right, this is crazy."
I just shared it.
Got it.
Now, keep in mind, I don't know like I was just able to find it. I don't know if this is the exact build that I was playing in our local the other day, and then I was doing really well, and then I had to attend something else, so I had to drop. But might be missing something. But I think I cut down on the big Elsos.
Yeah, I forgot how frustrating. Ooh, give me a second. Let me try to fix that. For some reason, I wouldn't upload the image.
What's that thing you got back there? Is that like a Cinderella?
Me?
Yeah. What's that big statue you got back there? Yeah, what is that?
That's Cinderella.
Cinderella.
Cinderella. She's getting her ball gown on.
And as you're pulling that out, you know, to add back to what Gabe is saying, isn't that so? And Hector, you should, you know this as well. Like when you're playing these large fields, isn't it crazy how large of a, you know, because of variance and playing into these larger fields, it would change it, you know, what deck you play, and then when you start going to like a smaller field, right, it changes as well. Isn't that's pretty interesting? Like deck choice is so important during you know, dependent on the size of the event.
Yeah, that's why when I go to like a big event, you wanna. Okay, so like that Diablo list, for example, that green purple that we were just talking about. my opinion. I said it might not be the craziest, but if you go into a tournament like just heavily targeting that one deck, then you start failing at the matches that you should be winning, right? So when your deck deviates too much from the original, then your regular matchups that you play good at are gonna start failing, right? Like good example, Gabe's in the chat. We were playing yesterday. I was playing red blue. He was playing the green purple. Where in a sense, like once I developed something on board, he was just drawing like creatures, small creatures that he just could not answer, right? So I feel like it could be the same with the green purple with all the evasives, right? Like where let's say they answer the Diablo, right? And then they have a threat on board that's a medium-sized threat. And then it just becomes insanely harder to take out because your deck is just tailored to one thing, right? So you're drawing a bunch of deck cards and then you can't even play much to your outs because a lot of your cards are tailored to one deck, right? And if you don't queue into that deck, then you're just crap out of luck.
Yeah.
So you start with like a basic list that is your playstyle, and then from there, tailor it to answer some of the decks that could hurt you, but not go crazy, right? Where you have 20 cards in the deck to mess this one matchup. Like a good example is the DKP list, right? He wanted to play against green steel, so he did these nice neat combos. And then he didn't play a single green steel, right? So let's say he would have, that scenario, if he would have, let's say, shifted his deck completely just to like obliterate green steel, right? And then he does not queue into green steel, and then now your deck is less consistent against everything else. So, I mean, he's a great player, right? But then you're at a disadvantage into the field. So, you'll be playing a little bit from behind in most of the games if you don't queue into that one matchup that you're super heavily teched into, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, you see like just late game dead draws where you're just like, man, this Pegasus or man, this Peter Pan, it's not going to do anything right now because they just got big boys on the field.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, it was really good insight for a lot of these decks. And
Pull up the list. I think Devin was putting up the list. I didn't get to see it too much.
I
which
think
one?
I think I ended up putting the muses in just to try it, and like during I don't know I don't know what was different about it. There's something a little different, but this is the list I was playing, and it just feels I think I cut like two of the bigger Elsas.
Okay.
And then I don't know if I think I took out the muses. Anyways, the point is that they just, oh my god, it's fun to play and it feels so good. It just feels so good. Just opening up Diablo into Ursula, right? And then turn 3 even in the other other Ursula, the 3-drop Ursula. And then yeah, fine. You could you want to out my Diablo, or I say if I'm playing and if I see their hand and I they have a removal and I rip one of them out, right? And then turn 3 I curve into the 3-drop Ursula, save my Diablo, right? I mean, there's just so many. How many outs can they have, right? So you're gonna get value from either one of them, and no one really expects the bigger Ursula, and then Elsa is just. I don't know. Elsa just won me games, man. I don't know. It just feels really good.
So my honest opinion on this is, I mean, what I say to pretty much almost everything. Like, like if you look at it like over the top, before saying anything, I feel like the deck is trying to do too many things at once, right? And like, obviously, in green, Diablo Shift is just insane. If you open up with it, right? Then you follow up with the Ursulas. So, for example, in this list, you got muses to bounce things. You want your Ursula 3 to hit some songs. So, what I would say is like, I don't see a world where like the point of playing a lot of these bounce packages in here, just because like Madam Mim, right? Like, what are we? My first thought is like, what are we bouncing, right? Like, what's a good bounce target here other than, yeah, if you get that Ursula, right? If they're playing a lot of songs, then you bounce the Ursula. Or I don't see anything else, right? Like where you want to, like, there's no, like, let's say no rabbits, no goats, nothing that you could just loop to gain the card advantage, right? So I don't see why. I don't think I would play Mims. Some of the Mims, or I'll cut down on them to try to like focus on the deck to go one route instead.
I don't think I was playing snakes. I think I cut the snakes, but I was definitely playing fox. That's something I was playing.
Yeah, Fox is more like removal.
Yeah, I wasn't playing the. And that's why I know this was one of the first list, but I something was a little off. I didn't even think I cut the muses. To be honest with you, I think I cut the snakes and the muses, and I think I played what's the song, the new song where you gain a lore and you draw a card. I think I ran 4 of those, and then like 2 genies, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it will make more sense a little bit there. Like that's why this new green purple deck plays so many targets for Diablo, right? And they're just trying to focus on that route, and then with discard.
My family.
And then obviously, if I'm playing green, to be honest, like I have to play Prince John. I don't know, like it just with green in the spot that it is, like just Prince John discard, like it just keeps you in the game, right? The war of attrition. Now that Red Blue's not around, like a lot of these other decks, they're gonna try to starve you out, right? So the Prince John just sits there trying to keep you in the game. Because what I'm seeing here is like your only draw option here is friends, right? Friends with Diablo. So if you don't, and I see, and you got the Huffle too.
No, and then this is my family. I drew off of that as well.
Oh, you were putting that in here, I guess.
Yeah, I took out the muses and I took out the snakes. I know that's exactly what I did. Took out muses, took out snakes. And I put 2 genies and I put 4 of the. This is my family.
Okay, yeah, maybe it works with the Ursula. See, I like that better. You play your songs, and that's more songs. So Diablo shift is more. It can happen more often, and then the Ursula 3 singing all these songs. It feels great, right? Now that Red Blue's not around too much, to brawl and things like that. I think it's not bad. And it's actually, if you're gonna mess around with this, I will mess around with it now at the beginning of the format before somebody figures out like a version of like Red Blue with coils, right? And people just gravitate back to like those decks. Then now is the time to test with some of these things. But I like it. And then also Blurple. I know you like playing Blurple. Blurple is great. Our friend Mikey, he was destroying me yesterday. It wasn't even close. So that's in a good spot too. Now that Red Blue is a little less crazy.
Love it. I was messing with Blurple yesterday, but I put in a few of All Is Found. Is that what it's called? The 5 song that everyone's playing now.
Yeah.
Oh, just while I was doing what I was playing, I was really heavily relying on like the bell, shift bell, and to try to get turn 3 into All Is Found. Or
you see, so the All Is Found. I mean, I think he made a great meta call for that specific tournament, right? But after that, now I think the list could be a little bit refined, just in the sense of he was probably expecting, like I said, a bunch of green steel, a bunch of discard, right? So his line was just heavily rampant to the Sisu, which is I like. I haven't tested it. Yesterday I played Red Blue. More of like closer to the Moyan list. I was playing 3 Hades because I love blue Hades. Like any deck that I could fit that card in, I love it, right? But now Red Blue's in a position where more of my game plan is just to double ramp at the shark, right? And then try to like get a little bit of advantage there. It's not like before where you have the Flaversham, obviously, but now you got to watch your plays a lot more because top deck Flaversham is not going to save you, right? So if you commit too much or you misplay too much, or you did one key turn where you commit too much and you misplay, then you're going to be heavily punished, and there's like you're not going to come back. Most of these games you end up with like 2-3 cards in hand towards the end. So it's a lot. The deck is in a position where you have to play a lot more careful. It's still a great deck. I mean, I was playing it yesterday and I still felt great, right? Obviously, You got to watch out for aggro. Stefan can triple daisy me and into Pete by turn 3. It's just loss. You can't really win those games. You still got to worry about that. But the game plan now is more on just ramping, right? What I didn't agree with his list was that he took out Brawl completely. I mean, I haven't tested it yet. Like I said, this is just from speculation, but I still love Brawl just because I know his reasoning was like if you Brawl on 3 or 4 and then they have, the nut draw or they have the full discard, then you could just lose right then and there. But Brawl is still, I think it's just still too good in the sense of everybody's playing these evasives, these genies, these Elsas, right? They're still targets that are 2 or less. So with Shark, it still burns. You can still get it back and get 2-for-1s and clear the board. So I still think it's a good.
Yeah, I think Brawl is definitely a powerful card. Like it hits Elsa, it hits the double swing Ursula, it hits Daisy. A lot of those early game cards that are problematic, and like you said, you had Genie too. So I definitely think if I was playing Red Blue, I'd definitely have some Brawl in there.
Yeah, I haven't tried it without it, so I don't. That's just for me. I played it yesterday and it worked fine. I don't think I found myself brawling on 3 unless I missed ramp or I needed like double triple daisy that you have to survive.
Yeah.
But if you don't play it, then any opening that's extremely aggressive, like it's just an auto loss. So I'm just hedging my bets, right? And then at worst, everybody's playing like either Steel Song, Green Steel. It's just such a good card to get rid of like an answer. A well-timed Brawl could just stall you the game, right? But now the game plan is pretty much double ramp into Shark, put enough stuff on the board that warrants your opponent to board wipe, and then when they board wipe, you just double manner, right? You diversify your threats with Shark and manner, but you just don't have as much draw power anymore. So you got to be careful how you do it. That's the problem with the deck now.
Double banner, bro. Double banner.
It's still a powerhouse. You still got to respect the deck. It's not like, hey, the deck is dead. Nobody's going to play it. There's still going to be people who are going to play it. And if you don't respect it, you're going to get clapped. So, like,
especially I feel like that's one of those decks to where, like, someone like yourself or even Jonathan, you just it's all y'all play. Like you guys, not all you guys play. It's not like one TP, but like when you guys you play against somebody that just from inception just plays that deck, you're gonna get punished when you run into someone like that, right? So
yeah, and especially as the meta gets more defined, right? You got to give it a couple of weeks of more tournaments. This was literally the first weekend of the tournament, so everybody's Diablo's on their mind. So the whole deck is based on Diablo, right? So what happens if you just keep your deck like this and then you start queuing up into a lot of mirror matches or a lot of, more mid-range strategies, and then you're just crap out of luck, right? That's what makes it bad. That's why I like green steel over the green purple Diablo, just because it still has the same tools, right? It still has the discards, but you have the kill spells, that clear the game for you. You have the morph line, which is pretty much a 2-drop Diablo, right? So green steel just plays the morph over their green purple evasive Diablo, and then the morph could just shift into beast, which is it's insane, right? Like on the play, shift into beast on 3 is one of the strongest plays there is, right? Especially with no answer. It's just, and now that there's no Medusa, and if a lot of people are now playing the coil little Sisu, right? Like we haven't seen it yet, right? Like I said, it's really early. Maybe, but
I was gonna ask you, has there been enough data, like enough bigger events? Like for example, like obviously when a new set comes out, we're known to host our big event right then and there. So you see some sort of larger field, right? Has there really been enough? I'm sorry, I haven't been able to take a look. I've been so involved in so many other different projects at this time, which I usually am on top of it. But has there been enough data to show like where not where the meta's heading, but where we can get some sort of idea?
I mean, just from this weekend alone, there was a good amount of tournaments. There was the one that we were talking about, DKP, where he won in Germany, 128-person event.
Does a region play it like I know we say Germany, right? I'm not saying it. Does a region play, or where that tournament takes place? Does it make a difference? Would you say, or no?
In my opinion, yeah. I mean, I think in Europe, like a lot of what I've experienced. I mean, in Europe, a lot of people love green purple for a long time, and then as opposed to like here in NA, first I think everybody loves freaking amber steel. Like I've one event where I don't go and I've run into multiples of this deck. I don't know why. You know,
Every deal could be completely dead, and you still see like 10% of the field on it. Like,
exactly right. Like red blue infested meta, and you still got like 25% of the field is amber steel, right? Because
I can tell you why.
people don't.
If you play against an amber steel player that knows what they're doing, and they're against a player that doesn't, I'm gonna be honest with you. The amount of times where I've seen somebody draw 5 card, like look at 5 instead of 4 with aerial, or when they do their wheel and they draw 8, I think that plays a huge role. That's why a lot of people play that too, in my opinion. I could
draw 8. They draw 8,
bro. Like if you play like any card game, right? Like if you play if you and Hector could attest to this, right? If you play any growing up, you play any other card game, right? One of the biggest things of any game is trying to find an edge, trying to find an advantage, right? How convenient is it to where they can, that can happen, right? Oh, I'm sorry, right? Or the judge call, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. In my opinion, I think that's one of the part of the reasons why. Outside of like the whole game, the whole, I like the style of the deck too, but I think that plays a role in my opinion. So I could be wrong. I don't know what Hector wins.
Yeah, that's it's tough, because then like the same can be said for like gameplay dexterity issues too and stuff like that. Like it's conveniently easy to make more mistakes as you draw more cards with, let's say, a whole new world, or grab an extra card with Rapunzel or something like that. But
yeah,
it's always important to keep your opponent honest and stuff like that. And when you have people like actually it's great, like Hector. Hector, do you have the gift you got yesterday?
I stepped away from my computer because my daughter was crying in the hallway, and then I got the gifts. It was made for this moment.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you're a player that pays a lot of attention to their opponent on their opponent's turn,
as you should,
you won't have those issues. And Hector is very well known for making sure asking their opponent. What's your famous question, Hector?
Yeah. So when I started playing the game, for some reason, every time it's just a habit, because when I come from Yu-Gi-Oh, there's be a lot of cheaters, right? A lot of cheaters running rampant, a lot of crazy things. So I always got the habit of training myself to watch my opponent, especially in Yu-Gi-Oh when you could do things on your opponent's turn, right? So Lorcana is a little more basic. You play your game, they play their game. But these Yu-Gi-Oh players, man, a lot of cheating. So I had the habit of asking cards in hand multiple times. First, my reasoning was you guys make fun of it, but as the time passes by, everybody looks at it and it's like, damn, it makes a lot of sense. You ask several times, because in this game, there's so many cards people draw. There's so many times you multiple ink. There's a lot of things going on that you got to keep track of. So if you play me in a match, I'll ask you 7 to 10 times easily, where some people get annoyed. But hey, buddy, that's my right. I can ask if I want.
It's the discard. I'm gonna cut you off. It's the discard. You're known for the discard, bro. I watch you so many times. Let me see discard. Let me see discard, which is not a bad thing. Everyone should be doing that.
Well, you know why? Because there's certain scenarios where people be grabbing stuff from their discard.
I've seen that.
And it brings up, and Hector, you walked away, right? When I said this, I don't know if you heard it. I said, if you didn't catch me saying this, when someone said a lot of players here in the States, they like playing Amber Steel, and I say, because growing up, as any card player knows, especially growing up, a lot of people try to find an edge to make something to where they can be more in an advantage, right? And when you run, and what does Steel Songs play? They play Aerial, and they play a whole new world. Ariel, I can't tell you how many times somebody has looked at 5 cards instead of 4, and how many people accidentally drew an extra card with their whole new world, right? And if you're playing against a lot of players that don't have the habit of taking a look at how many cards are drawn, or seeing how many, what we're just talking about, some of the mechanics we're talking about now, that one card, that makes a huge difference. I don't care what anyone says. It's advantage in card games, right? So, everyone, that's part of the game. Everyone should really practice doing so.
I actually do the same thing. I ask how many cards in hand, but it's only because I'm trying to discard every card they have.
You know
It's
what?
not good still. You don't have to worry about hand size.
It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen right here. This would be our
Hold
special.
on, let me maximize that really quick.
Oh my god, these
Yo.
It says cards in hand at the bottom, bro. You see them laser eyes?
Oh my goodness.
It's because I don't miss when I ask. Just want to say these will be at your local SSG shop. Premium for the next tournament. If you want some, just get on the list. They sold out in the first day. Now we're getting the 3rd and 4th batch, and Dragon. Watch this, bro. It's time. Like, send some sponsorships our way. I need some of these sleeves, man, because these My Hero sleeves, I've been trying to get them. I had to get them from the UK. Man, it was a mess. But all jokes aside, I'm telling you, this community is super nice, but you still have to be very vigilant, because at the end of the day, just can't trust people. Like, even some people, Adina, stop. Some people, even if not your friends, but when it comes to the game, some people are so obsessed with winning that they're willing to take that extra edge no matter what. Right. So
It's when the stakes get really high.
exactly. And then when emotions are high, hold on, let me let my dog out because she's freaking.
Who let the dogs out, baby?
Oh, yeah.
Feels like Chernadogs ain't out as much as the.
But when emotions
The dog's gone.
and there's a lot of money involved on the line, people change, man. People change. So you could walk in and feel confident that nobody's gonna cheat you in these tournaments, because the community is super nice and sweet. But you just gotta watch everybody, because when there's a lot on the line, people will do it. And then look, somebody in chat said, "Oh, I asked him 125 times in our match. That was a lie. I asked you 150. Don't lie. Don't lie to the crowd. Don't lie to the crowd."
Yo, I see Jack's in the chat. Jack, Chernadog, like Stefan just said, Chernadog's done. So what are you playing now? Is it back to Blurple? Or what are you cooking?
Oh, and while he's answering, I see somebody said Workshop Coil list top the Oslo event. Yeah. Like I said, it's first week in a tournament. Somebody's gonna find a list that works decent, and then when 2 weeks pass by, when there's enough testing, there's enough data, it might be back, right? But for now, it hasn't been as consistent as everybody thinks, and everybody's on the Diablo hype. So once a couple weeks pass by, then
Ghosty.
people will just maybe try it, right?
Discard with Tramp. That sounds interesting, Jackie. I'm going to have to see that list later. Discard with
Oh
Tramp.
man, Jack, stop with this little tramp. Go back to Blurple, bro. The
You
king.
talking about the little Tramp or the big Tramp, bro?
Back to you're the king of Blurple, buddy. And
Don't let Mikey hear that.
Ooh, yeah. Mikey'd be like, nah.
No, Mike. Listen, Mikey is the king of Blurple right now, because Jack, decided to go to. He wanted to be Dr. Doolittle over there and just speak with all the animals,
Sure. That deck worked, man. That deck ran red, blue down.
Man, I really thought that he was going to take it down, but Jaws over here decided to do so.
Green, blue, Oswald. I could see Devin playing that. If
Chris,
I'm being honest.
Is that you? Is that Chris? Skydool?
It's like, who are you? Like, who are you?
I don't know, because Chris be saying some wild stuff. One of our locals from our shop, I call him. He plays at junkyard items, because every week
Chris's pawn shop.
with 2-3 items, and you're just like, what?
Yeah, as soon as Hiram was out, he tried the
first.
little Hiram, the
Wrong.
croc, short croc or whatever. Right? He was on that card. Where he's oh, this is the same thing.
You see the meme, the great value Hiram.
Yeah, he was on great value Hiram. But
Oh,
yeah, a
yeah.
lot of these a lot of these lists will just keep adapting. Like they threw up a list I gave to Stefan that I kind of cut some cards because I was like, I think I need to play Justin in Time again. Is that the card? The song? I think it is. The one that gives resist and you draw a card.
We got Hiram at home now. We got a crazy wife at home.
Oh, the ship on it, right?
Yeah, I forgot. Is it Just in Time? I don't even remember.
No, it's
Everyone on that.
something the way, right?
Show me the way. We know the way. Storm Treasure Planet.
No idea what you're trying to say, but I'll take a comment. Somebody said fact check everybody. Yep, 100%. Even your mom, your grandma, everybody.
Bro.
These tournaments, you gotta check everybody. And then what I would say, I recommend if you go to these tournaments with a big group of your friends, have a talk with your friends and be like, hey, if we play in these tournaments, this is not like if you're playing for high stakes, like respect each other enough to be like, hey, if you mess up, you misplay, there's no takebacks. Like you play it, professionally, like your friends, and that it doesn't affect your friendship. I feel like people don't do that enough. And you end up playing at these tournaments, and then one of you ends up winning, and then you send the other one on tilt, and then you act out. You have a tantrum for the tournament, ruins your tournament. Like, come on, man, you can't be doing that. So with your friends, like have the level of respect that if you play it how it is, and make sure that that things go right and no takebacks and all that, because I've had those experiences where people are like, oh, you're a shark because you're this. I'm like, no, we've known each other and we've played in these tournaments where I play you guys and I say, damn, I messed up, but I don't ask for takebacks or nothing. That was my mistake that I got to learn from, right? It's a good lesson that everybody needs to learn about these events too.
If your friends are gonna get salty for you winning, then pick better friends. That's all.
Yeah, they're not your
Oh,
friends.
that's great.
And
That's
sweet,
like
sweet
range
tea,
of
thank you. That was the card. I'm still here. That was the one. I think that card's good for Diablo right now. You could just sing it on himself.
I love this. Whoever's the Rage of Demacia. I love that name. I love it. I don't like the Timo. I like where's Garen at? I don't know if you guys did any of you guys play League? Hector, you look like you're a League player.
Actually, not at all. I've never played League.
Well, actually makes sense. Never mind.
Card games coming out this year.
I know it is.
Might be new
I
topics.
wish I could
Sounds familiar.
put my brain to play multiple card games at once, but I just sometimes don't have the time, right? Like, and then what happens to me is I just get very, very like obsessed with these games, where like I'm doing research, I'm reading the meta, and then I just get so obsessed that I can't concentrate on two games at once, because if not, I just don't give the right time to the game, right? And with Lorcana, obviously we're all older. I have a child, wife at home, so sometimes I go once a week to the card shop, right, where I just play for 4 or 5 hours, and that's all I get. So if I were to split it between multiple games, then I wouldn't be doing right by one game, right? And then both of the games suffer, and then that just ruins the mood. But I would love to play like Pokemon.
Who? What? Pokemon?
I would love to play Pokemon.
Little birdie. There's a little birdie that told me that you asked for some Pokemon lessons.
Oh, I don't need lessons. I know how to play the game, but now knowing how to play the game right is the difference, right? Like I pick up a game super quick. I know how to play now. And any of these games where you pick up, you got to get to the level of where you know what your opponent's playing and what you have to play around, right? So it's the same as Lorcana. If somebody picks up Lorcana deck today and they sit in front of you, right? Let's say they buy the best deck, right? They know how to play their own deck. Then they sit down on your opponent, and your opponent starts inking cards, and you don't know what to play around or what they're playing. You had a big disadvantage. Like a huge disadvantage, right? So going into one of these big Pokemon events where you're playing your own deck, you know what you're doing, but you just don't know what your opponent, like what combos can lock you out of the game, what could kill you, what could like snipe you out of the game and things like that. In Lorcana, like you were all of us here at least should be at the level of where like you sit down in front of your opponent inks their first card, and you automatically know what they're playing,
Yeah.
right? Like there's only so many variations of what they could be playing. So by you seeing one of those cards, you know what strategy they're playing, and all right, I got a game plan, right, for this. But now if you don't know, then you're just in the blind, and it feels extremely bad, right? And you're just at a disadvantage in every game.
Yeah. What you want to know? You know what the problem is with Pokemon, competitive Pokemon is if you know, first and foremost, what you ask yourself what your why is, and if you're trying to compete and you want to make it to Worlds, it's there. You have to farm these events, and you have to constantly go because it's like a point system. That's like a ladder. It's like a leaderboard. So you could do well in all these tournaments, but you have to be present and consistently do well in multiple tournaments to get your invite, right? And that's, in my opinion, it's not that it's a problem, but going back to what you're stating, if you want to play multiple card games, that's where it can become an issue unless you're a full-time card player. And at that point, you know, that's what you have to be doing for a living. It is it's not about just how well and how good you are. You have to have exposure and farm these events, and that's my issue with you know, not my issue, but that's the unique thing of Pokemon.
I think that's a route that you could get an invite, right? Like if you farm these events, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, I might be wrong here, right? But I think they still also do a nationals where like if you like make top 4 or top 8 at that national, you get an invite to Worlds. That might be.
Am I wrong? Didn't they change that?
I only know that they changed the point structure so that you needed more points, but I don't know if they changed anything else.
That's another route that you could get to Worlds, right?
I could be wrong, but you know, unless my I don't know, we could get into that discussion with my sponsor players, but my sponsor players are going to events every week. I'm not lying. Every week. That's another conversation.
But then, yeah, so see it that way. Like it gives you incentive to go to all these events because you could go straight to World without having to like usually these big games, like for example, Yu-Gi-Oh, right? I think Yu-Gi-Oh is doing another point system or something like that now too. But usually these games standard where you're like, you gotta qualify for Nats, right? Then you go to Nats, and then the Nats, a certain amount of players get qualified for Worlds, right? But Pokemon, obviously, you could just farm these events, and then you have to do well on consistency, and you could get in that way. Maybe I'll look into it. I'll look into it to see if there's a national. I know they have a national
I
still.
just had this conversation last night, and because I asked because you know part of the reason why I even bring that up is because of a recent conversation I just had, and Stefan, I know Stefan was going to segue into this at some point, talking about the business side of these card games. Well, one of which is these sponsor player programs, and I find that our Pokemon sponsorship program, they're more active in attending these events and more frequent than others. You know, I think I scheduled. I'm not joking with you. Every Monday, I've been scheduling a flight in a hotel. I get notifications on my phone, and I ask why is this the case, and it's segued into that conversation about what we just had, right? And where you might, you could be 100% be right where it is a route you could go, but from the conversation I had last night, I believe that's not the case. But it's irrelevant. But if that is the case, that's crazy. I think that's part of the issue because I know they did a major change recently, and I don't think it's just with points. And
I messaged Larry, one of our sponsored players.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll get back to me before the chat's done and we can clarify it. I said, what are the ways that you can qualify for Pokemon? So
the thing about, but then what makes it, Devin, now that you're talking about, the business side of things, then what kind of makes it crazy for these Pokemon events is that to be sponsored, like, I guess you have to excel at it, right? Because you're talking about compared to let's say compared to every other game, right? Where we're sitting here comparing Pokemon, let's say Pokemon to Lorcana, right? So Lorcana, let's say there's 10 events a year, right? 10 DLCs where we're going to go to 10 DLCs. But you're talking about Pokemon now where you're going to 4 events a month. That's just insane, right? At some point you have to weigh the pros and cons where you're like, my boy, you do maybe a test run where you send them to a certain amount. And if there's no possible way of making it, then you start cutting back just because it's clear cut. It's crazy to say, damn, I have to go to 5 events a month. out of the state. That just sounds insane.
You see, I'm the type too to where I'm so nice, right? Like, and I'm also a realist. This is a business, so like I understand that, but also I'll be sarcastic at times. I find that the SSG sponsorship program is a almost like a yearly vacation program, brother. Right? Because like everyone gets to travel these events, which I love. I absolutely love it. Right? It gives exposure. But what you just stated is that there's so many of these events that it's literally Pokemon is every week. Literally, I'm not kidding with you. Every week. And as a business,
It's crazy.
a lot of people don't understand that it's a team. So it's not just one, it's not just two, it's several. And now we're talking about flights, we're talking about board, right? And then on top of that, we're talking about these decks, right? You're talking about cards, we're talking about those type of resources. So there's a lot that goes involved with it. And I think that's very important to have a good team, a good solid team, not just performance, but also a team that's going to be there for your shop, not just the shop, but I guess in our case, the shop, right? Because not that this would ever happen, but I love the players that we have on our team, all of our teammates, because everyone knows it just takes one bad apple to ruin a good thing, right?
Let me add to that, to what you're saying is, so you see, like Jack said, SSG is a blessing, right? Like is unique in every way, right? Like in the way that we handle tournaments, in the way that the price structure, and the way that we have access to these events, it's like no other, right? So thank you for that. Like I said, it's like some people don't understand the magnitude of what they have. And I guess that comes with age or whatever. But you see, for example, in our Lorcana team, right? Even if let's say right now Lorcana says, all right, we're dropping 20 tournaments a year or 50, right? Where there's 3 tournaments a month, right? Me as a person, even if let's say I excel at all of them, right? Where, I mean, it's not possible. You could be consistent, but you're not going to be winning every tournament or bringing prize support back every tournament. Let's be real here, right? So me as a person, if I am in this situation where everything's, I don't want to go into detail, but like you take care of us very well, like to be honest, more than you should in many scenarios, right? And we're very grateful for that. But me as a person, after a while, like out of respect for you and for the shop and for everybody there, me as a person, like I'm not gonna take advantage. I'm just gonna hold back on my own, right? Where I'm just gonna be like, okay, there's 4 tournaments a month. I'm not gonna do that to the shop, right? I'll do 1 or 2, and we'll see where that goes. Where maybe I run hot and I'm doing good. I feel like I could do it. Then maybe we'll do more, right? But if I'm not performing or if I'm not like bringing some value like to our community and things like that, then me as a person, I would just say, you know what? I'm not going to this event.
Yeah.
I'm not going to this event just because, like, what people don't see, there's a business side to this, and there's a lot of expenses that get put into this. So some of the players like need to have that integrity themselves to be like, hey, I'm gonna sit this one out, right? Because at the same time, you want initiative from your players, right? Like you need, number one, you need respect, you need initiative, and you respect, your captains where they make a judgment call on some of these players, like if they're ready or not. But even then, the players themselves should be like, hey, there's 6 events this month. You know what? Let's take it easy. Let's do 1 or 2. I know I have expectations, but let's do 1 or 2 because same time, they're being blessed with that opportunity. So you need to value it. And, it's not always just taking, you got to give back a little bit. And that's a good way to give back, where you yourself put yourself on a limit and be like, hey, I'm just going to do a couple of these, see how it goes. And then we'll take it on a case by case basis. Right. But not just be, oh, hey, Devin, I'm going to these 6 events back to back to back. That's my way of seeing it, at least.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because what you just mentioned and stated, that's the difference between Tom Brady and another quarterback, right? understanding that it's a team effort and understanding that, hey, we're here for the long run. We want to make a playoff run, right? Same thing with this, guys. We want to be able to do X. We want to be able to do Y. It's for the long term. It's for the long game. Let's be strategic about this, right? Where, by all means, like, yeah, everyone can go to these events. We're at a position to where we want the whole team to go out there and represent and build the brand and build that camaraderie. By the same token, what I think a lot of individuals, and this is just in life, right? I'm not saying that we're the smartest individuals, ever, or the best, whatever, whatever. I don't mean to have an ego or arrogance when I say this, but it comes with experience. Just as fast as we're able to get these cool, these great blessings, we could get it taken away from us at any moment, right? And it's out of all of our hands at times, right? We get smacked in the face with reality real quick. If we take this for granted, right? So, I'm glad that you brought that up.
I will when you're done.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up because that's part of the insight to where, there's a lot going on. And as you can see, we already hear it from time to time again when we host our events. Oh, we know you don't break even. Oh, we don't make money on it. Same thing with the sponsorships. Oh, we don't, they could look at it in the sense of, oh, I know you don't make money on it. But just because, the reward is intangible and it's not a realized game in this form of money, that doesn't mean we didn't win. That doesn't mean that we didn't profit, right? We may have profited in a different way. And I think that's what separates, a business owner's mindset and aspect to just someone that doesn't have that type of experience. And not in a bad way. I just mean that in the sense of like where I don't need to profit X amount of dollars to know that this was great value, right? So same thing with some of these events.
What I will add to that is you mentioned something, and I know we're a lot of off topic here. Lorcana, we're talking about Lorcana, but this is, like a life topic, right? A lot of people have not had that rude awakening, right? Where if you've never experienced that rude awakening in a part of your life, you're not going to grow. Some people, and again, it goes by the mentality where you also think the grass is always greener on the other side. Sometimes it's not. Most of the time, it's not. It's not, right? So a lot of people take things for granted because they don't know it. They don't feel it until it's gone. Now, the moment it's gone, that's when when you realize, hey, this was great, right? Also, something else I get, like, is, as you mentioned, the business owner side. I own a business. I totally understand what you're saying. And then sometimes it feels kind of bad when people make these comments, right? Like, in a sense, we already know what's happening behind closed doors. We know what it takes to run these events. We know the cost. And sometimes just everybody going around is like, and coming up to you, you're not breaking even, right? You're not doing this. You're not doing, like, don't even worry about it. Just enjoy the event and get through it and live in that moment, right? Just sometimes I'm a big believer that when that negativity gets put out there, it just, I don't know, man, it just drains things, right? So that's just something else that, people making these comments. We already know we're not going to break even there, but you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know what's happening. So just enjoy it and go with it, right? So sometimes just leave that negativity out the door.
Yeah, what I was going to say about events, that a lot of people make comments that, like Ravensburger, Lorcana, they don't really have enough. But then you have like the opposite end, like One Piece, where you have so many, and even online regionals and events. And do you think, like, what do you think is better? Do you think it's better to have like two less? Do you think it's better to oversaturate it so people can get in and do more? Or you think there's like something in the middle, like a middle ground that hasn't been found yet?
I think for me, I can answer my insight on it. I think it's dependent on the game and dependent on the community. And then it's also dependent on the game state as well of the game, right? So like, for example, Lorcana, when they're, it's a fairly new game. And I think right now, or it's maybe starting to simmer down a little bit from what I'm starting to see, but when there wasn't any type of activity with Ravensburger or whoever the game, whoever's in charge of the major events, right? When they don't have, they don't have any DLCs lined up, or if they don't have any activity lined up, right? And there's new players coming in showing interest, and it's a popping game, and it's a, it's the amount of new consumers coming in, whether they're from other card games or whether they're a new card player. I mean, I want as much events as possible, right? As a player, I want to be able, and I'm not just saying that for me to attend it. I'm talking about accumulating the data, different decks, how large the fields are, right? The fluctuation of markets for the cards. I want that. I want to see that as a card player, right? Because
No, yeah, that makes sense. Not to cut you off, but if you think about it, when was the last official Ravensburger event, Hector?
January 6th, Nationals.
January 6th.
Yeah.
And so when they banned Hiram,
I'm sorry. I think there might have been. I think there's another one. Where is it coming up? There's one in Germany. It's like a 512 player event. I don't know if it's happened yet. Maybe I know there was one official one in Germany, right? I don't know if it's coming soon or if it happened already, but I know that they have that. But
what I was going to get at is, that the data that they took to decide, hey, we're going to ban that, didn't come from their official events. It came from events like We Host and like CCS and like all these, world class cards, all these big names, and that I think also is a problem where if they're not doing at least something every month, I would say there's no data for them, right? There's no what are people playing, what's overwhelming, what are people buying, I think when you have a gap that big, it can get stagnant for certain players where they're kind of like, I don't really have anything to do.
So that's you brought up a very good point, right? To add to your point and to what Devin said, there's really no middle ground. But the problem is, as long as it's sustainable, they want to keep doing these events, right? So if you were here since the beginning, when Lorcana first came out, this company started making the cards were non-existent. All right. They made such a little product that it was just non-existent. We were going to locals to play for a whole month to try to win a pin, right? And it was one of those, you have to go every Monday, do well, and at the end of the month, you're getting a pin and you're getting a promo, right? God forbid you miss one of those Mondays, you're not winning the pin. Like, you're done, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't much product. Then there wasn't any events, right? They thought because they weren't prepared. I think they weren't ready for what was, they didn't think it was going to be as popular. So they started it slow, from a business standpoint, like Devin said, there was probably little investment into it, right?
Mhm.
Because from a business point of view, if you go all in on something and then it just completely doesn't work out, it could bankrupt you, right? It could send you to the shadow realm. Like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? The shadow realm of life, right? So, so when it started, the game was barely hanging by a thread. You had PPG doing that one main event. Imagine it had almost 300 people, and we were playing. First place took like a case or 2 cases. You imagine that? We give 2 cases on a freaking Saturday night. Right now,
you get 2-0'd and we give 2 K.
You get, I give, that's not doing it. And my 2-0 is in here somewhere. I know I know he's
not getting into
He's in
that.
the chat. He's in
I know
the
he's
chat.
lurking and he's gonna make a comment. Go ahead, and you're gonna catch these hands soon. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But imagine a 250-man tournament where it was cut to top 16. People were flying in. A friend of mine was the one that won, right? He's from Puerto Rico.
Not to interrupt, there he is. There he is.
Freaking knew it.
Oh, there he is.
Or it was Devin. Don't promise this man anything else. We're done with him. Please don't say anything. But anyways, a friend of mine's from Puerto Rico. He came down. He was the one that won the event, right? So people were flying in because the competitive spirit was there, right?
Mm-hmm.
After that, we went stagnant for a while. And then guess what? They were like, hey, we can't do this anymore. And they dropped competitive play. They were like, hey, we're doing it here, right? They had to do it because the game was going to die. So they did it, but they weren't prepared for that either at the time. So I don't think they've gotten their footing yet, right? Once they get their footing, they can just start rolling these events and they'll be a little smoother, right?
Mhm.
But they just weren't they just weren't prepared, right?
Yeah.
As you see, they dropped competitive play and it sold out in seconds. The first one sold out in seconds. At least what I liked a lot was that they were lurking and watching, right? So what happened in Atlanta is they had, I think, 500 players, right? And then people were complaining, we can't get in, we can't play in months without anything. And then you do this, and then they doubled it, right? They doubled it and they said, hey, we're taking feedback, we're doing this. So that shows growth and you care in your community, right? So, but if you notice, Atlanta was kind of like a shit show, right? Like it was crazy. We went because it was like, hey, we got tickets with this, we wanted to compete. But as you saw after Atlanta, every single other DLC is just getting better and better and better and better. They added more price support, more side events, people were getting in, right? So then if the trajectory kept going that way, it would lead to them being more receptive of like criticism and things like that, and then expanding to making events more available in different sides of the country, right? Where you just go and let's say we'll schedule more events on the East Coast, more events on the West Coast, more player cap. Obviously, it takes a lot of time and planning to do this, and I don't think they were ready for that, right? They weren't ready. So then I'm choosing to believe that they're taking this break to get their footing together and that they're going to come back stronger than ever.
You know what we call this? We call these problems. We call these champagne problems as a business owner. So if I had to guess as a betting man, they're 100% full, all hands on deck, developing SOPs, workflow, streamlining. They're putting something beautiful together. If I had to assume.
Evan,
Right, they have to. Like they have, in my opinion, the best card. In my opinion, the best card game out right now. How do you not?
So,
Yeah, and they really do listen to the community. And like Hector said, every time you go to an event, it's a little bit better than the last one. Same thing like at our store with our events.
except now, right?
Mhm.
So like Devin said, the champagne problems, right? I think, Devin, I'm going to put an asterisk on that champagne problem because the reason why it's a champagne problem is because your shop has been keeping the game afloat, right? So let's say from January, right? Let's say for some reason in January, you were like, oh, I hate Lorcana. We're not going to play anymore. I'm tired of this. And you were like, oh, I'm not doing these events anymore, right?
Yeah.
And we're 4 months, 5 months in, and there's no news, there's no nothing, there's no tournaments, the game will die. 100% on the spot, this game would have died, right? And then you can't go, in a sense, you can't go months without a word, and you see the community. You have people that work for you that are in this community, and they know, and obviously they have channels, everything gets passed down. They have people lurking, Discords, everything, just to see everything, right?
Mhm.
And then you just don't say anything. And then the moment you say something, it's like, hey, well, we're announcing this product, we're announcing this starter deck, right? But you're not tackling the elephant in the room. And if there wasn't any big tournaments, like I say, you're spoiling us down here. If these
Bro,
tournaments
let me
aren't
tell you
happening,
I
like,
love you so much, brother, for even saying that. I just had this conversation with Kylie and I just had this conversation yesterday. Bro, it's not even just the tournaments, not even the data that we're giving them. Bro, we're making a standard in the area. We have copycats all over. And that's the best form of flattery. But let's not forget that the bar is raised up to here now. Kylie, how many surrounding people in the area are giving a box away for first place now?
Yeah, everywhere
Oh.
now.
Let me-
Box first place. It's just a standard now. It's not
and
going out to get like
Great.
6 packs for
Let me
playing
ask you
for 5
something.
hours.
that's great.
Let me explain something to you, which is great for the games. I love it. But let me tell you something. These are shops, and I'm not like we're a championship team now, I'm probably the most humble person there is. I promise you. But let me tell you something. These shops, you were the first people to not care about these tournaments, and because no one's going to their shops for them, they had to step it up, right? And I think that is super important. That's exactly I guess that's something that we wanted to achieve as well, because I find it very healthy that you have multiple shops in the area that a lot of these players can go to for diversity, not just every day of the week they can go somewhere else, but also to, show love to the other shops. But at the same token, I think that's very important to understand that it's not just these big events too. It's the repetition dude, they don't have an online client. Let's be honest. You know what I'm saying? No online client. That means that a player has to go in person to an event to be able to get this exposure. Like even if they're small locals. Anyways, I could go on this topic all day, but I know we do have to segment to something else, and we do have to wrap up.
But like you said, Devin, so I did just to add to that, I know we're over it. At first they didn't want online play, right? I think they made it known that they just wanted to make it where people go to the shop to support these local shops, right? Problem with supporting some of these local shops is that sometimes they don't care about you, like you said, right? But I'm glad everybody's stepping it up, and I hope they step up as well, that they come back strong as ever, and they say, hey, this is what we got planned, right? This is what we got planned. It's going to be a banger because I want this game to last for eternity. Because if not, my PSA 10 cards are going to be worth crap.
Well, I will say one thing real quick to add to that, because I know there's always like a debate to where how if an online client comes out and it can dilute or even crush the paper play. And I think if you do it right, it doesn't have to be the case, right? Just don't hold any sanctioned events online. Just do it to where you could play casually at home and don't have the ability to sell and trade cards online. Right? Like don't create a market for those cards, and then paper won't die. I just think it's a great resource to go on there. Like for example, Yu-Gi-Oh, bro. Like there's an online client. It's called, and I do it to where because it's 1 a.m. I'm able to hop online and be able to play instantly and queue up, and just so I could get try a different deck out. Right? That's what it's intended for. So it doesn't have to be like Magic Arena. It doesn't have to be like something like right. So,
but even if you do make it like Magic Arena, that would be great. Like if you give people packs online, right? Like where you load up sets in there like Pokemon does, like everybody does, and that's another market too. If you're talking about from business standpoint, right? So
yeah. And have a leaderboard. Just have a ladder, and that's it. Don't hold these crazy events. Make it to where all the crazy events have to be in person, and just do it to where you have a leaderboard. There's a ranking system, and then you could and they'll make them more money because then they could go. They can purchase more cards online. But just don't have it to where there's a market to where you can buy and sell trade cards with other players. Then it ruins people.
It does feel good to have like some sort of online client, just because. Like, look, man, we all have things to do. We all have families. We got kids. Sometimes we don't have the full time to dedicate to going 3, 4, or 5 times a week to the card shop. So even if we have an online client where we can practice and feel like we're ready to get the courage to go to locals to play and do better, right? Like it feels great, right? So I know we've talked a lot. I think we're a lot over. I know Stefan's over there like poking us, and he's like, "Bro, stop talking. I know I talk a lot, but these are good topics."
No, they definitely are. There definitely are great topics, and definitely some stuff that we should be expanding on in future episodes. But yeah, given the fact that we're a little bit over, I just wanted to give us just a quick minute or two for some closing thoughts. We'll start with you, Devin. What are you looking forward to this week? Anything in particular, Lorcana related or not?
For this week alone, not necessarily. I don't have it. Unless all these days just go by so fast. So if there's something playing that I'm not aware of at this very moment, then no. I don't think so. It is Easter weekend, right? Friday is Good Friday, so I definitely am excited to spend some time with the family. Outside of that, I'm just ready to tackle what the next week has for us.
Awesome. What about you, Kylie? What are you looking forward to for this week, whether Lorcana related or not?
I am waiting anxiously for world announcements, updates, and possible DLC schedule. Like going forward, I'm every day I'm waking up and I'm checking that. You saw me. I hit the new Ravensburger play thing the moment that thing was up, like 1 a.m. I'm texting you. So
I'm still
looking for all that new info. And for some of you guys in the chat that missed out, I know Mr. Mill was asking. Next week we're gonna go over a little more in detail the Southside Circuit, what it entails. We'll talk about the tournaments that it included, so the people that will get top 8, and we'll go under a little bit more detail into that, so that you guys will kind of know like what tournaments the top 8 players are in, and then it does seed down. So my boy, shout out to my boy Jonathan Williams, my second place king. If you were in a tournament like Jonathan Williams, the first one he topped, I think he topped like 2 or 3 after that. So his invitation will seed down, because the actual goal of the finals is to have 64 players in this event. So that it's just kind of the 64 of some of the best players kind of in our area and that have come down here. Obviously there's some Worlds players in there. There's some big name players in there. Zan, Jonathan Williams. So hopefully, you know, they get the invite, they can make the time and they can come out. But we'll definitely like clarify all those details, and you know, Devin will definitely make the prizing announcement. I know he'll be super excited for that. So
Yeah, stay tuned, guys. There's definitely gonna be an official announcement leading into that as well. And
there will be playmats. There will always be playmats for the foreseeable future. That is the goal. So top 4 in each event will get themed playmats. First and second, one says finalist, one says champion, and then third and fourth get the random one. And you know, I cooked up something cute with some bounty mats, which I can let Stefan tell you if you want about that.
I'll leave it for next week.
Yo, Kylie loves blowing the load, man.
That one I definitely want to touch on a little bit more in depth next week, because that was a really creative idea, and I think that's what really separates us from a lot of the other events, because like, you know, a lot of people will, you know, like, it's either product or cash, right? So what differentiates us from other stores is a lot of the unique things that you can get, and thankfully we're partnered with Mattified for you know, great mats, you know, for the team and then for the players. And it's just, you know, it's what's great about Lorcana. It's right. Like it's truly, it's a strong community of players and people who are just looking to like keep the game alive and relevant by any means necessary. So definitely really happy and excited about the mat stuff coming up. But what about you, Hector? What are you looking forward to this week?
Well, Lorcana wise, it's gonna be the second week of the ban list, right? So we're gonna be seeing a little more defined meta, right? Like somebody posted a graphic that I saw on Twitter today where like meta was crazy, right? Like you have like 8-9 different decks like performing. So I think with a little bit more time, it'll narrow down a little more where people settle down on certain choices. So this weekend will be, you know, a little pivotal point where you see some, even if it's small events or anywhere, you're gonna start seeing the red purple list you get a little more refined, the green steel list, all these lists getting a little more refined to tackle their local meta and then the general meta, right? So that's exciting to see. On the regular side, I'm looking forward to Easter with my child, take some pictures. That's always a nice thing to do. And I also want to add, I saw a lot of people in the comments are being very positive. We appreciate that. It always feels nice to see the community, you know, tuning in and saying nice things, because that just makes you feel good. Like I said, for every
I feel like we're doing something right?
Exactly, right? And exactly. And I look back and a long way that we've come. We met Devin, you know, we were a small little community, and look at us now. Things are just going great. And it just feels good, right? Because to everybody, a lot of these games are like your escape from your real life, you know, real life problems, stress, whatever it is, right? You come to the card shop, so the community being good is just a huge plus, where everybody feels safe, feels good. You play with your friends. That's why. Let me tell you, my wife gets upset that I'm there a long time, but when you get there, it's just you're hooked with all your friends, and it's hard to leave. I do that all the time. I tell her, hey, I'm leaving in 10 minutes, and then an hour later, she's like, oh, you're still there, right? It's because
Hector, Devin, and Stefan are known for that. Them boys, like, they say bye to me like 10 times. I'm like, bro, what? I thought you
It's
left.
like I'm probably age checking a bunch of us here, but it's like that show Cheers, where everybody knows your name. Yeah, me only. All right, awesome.
How old are you? Listen, so last night, because you know Hector says it, but I'm there till try getting me out of that place, bro. I said, you know what? I'm gonna be out of this place at 12 a.m. Next thing you know, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and
Oh, that was fun.
Stefan was setting up a lot of stuff for the podcast last night because he had to set up my stuff there, so he was being able to witness last night a little bit of that because he was with us as he was getting all the stuff together and prepping it for me. So he was able to see what we go through at the end of the night, and man, you just can't get out of that place. It's fun.
Yeah, the place is timeless.
Community is so great. Everybody's having a good time. We're playing our cards, and it feels good, man. It's just super nice, especially with how good SSG treats us. With the little time we have, right? That's another big argument that I always bring up whenever I talk to people about these card games. It's just I will play at several locals, and sometimes it just doesn't make sense for you to be there 10, 12 plus hours to invest your time, the little time you have for 3 packs. It just doesn't feel good. So it's definitely a blessing, and it's just something that we all love to do. So, we're here hopefully till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Well, on my side of things, I'm actually looking forward to playing a lot more Amber Steel. I feel like we're back, baby. So it's it's a deck near and dear to my heart. You just I think I forgot who said it, but it's essentially like the only way the deck dies is when it kills itself. But other than that, if I can keep playing the same way I played yesterday during locals, I had really good matchups. My last match, I actually we played 2-game format to try to shorten the time a little bit, and I got both games against Ruby Sapphire, which how often does that happen? So super excited. Non-Lorcana wise, yes, I'll be doing something with the kids this weekend for Easter. What that is, I'm not sure, but we'll do it live. We'll figure it out and find something. I'll find some eggs somewhere, and we'll go from there. But
Elliott chickens lay a lot of eggs.
I don't know what the prices they are right now. The kids might get like 1 or 2 eggs. That's it. But all right, awesome. Well, I'll sign us off for now. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.
All right.